Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Royals Review Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Worth, and I'm joined by Jimmy Boy, as he's put his name in, James Thomas, the guy with the incredible Twitter name, Criminal Record. We're here to talk about Reading. But first, Jim, how are you doing today?
All good, mate. All good. Yeah, really looking forward to this. We've been going on about it for some time, so it's good to finally get it done.
Yeah, exactly. It does feel good to get the wheels moving. As you say, we've been talking rubbish about Reading for, 29 years would be a bit of an exaggeration, but it's safe to say the majority of our lives. So we're going to start recording it, see if people like what we say, hate what we say, but at the very least, hopefully, some listeners can have a good time too. Pre-season's over then, and Jim, I know you've been to quite a few of the Reading games. I've been slacking massively. I'll make it up on Saturday. But overall, quite positive for the Royals. I think I actually read it's the first time Reading won their last pre-season game going into a season since 2012. So, Jesus Christ, that's quite a long time. I'll let you start wherever you want, mate. But what have you made of Reading's pre-season, and are you feeling as positive as I am going into the season?
Definitely. I think finished last season strong against Blackpool, and then went in pretty solid against Watford with a 2-0 win. From what was reported, it was a pretty comfortable win. Unlucky Tom Ince, not this time, mate. And then on to Millwall next, which was 2-1 loss, I think. Yeah. But it sounded like the team were the better team, played a lot better than Millwall, and eventually conceded a pretty scrappy goal towards the end of it. Then it was Woking, which was another 2-0 win. Again, pretty comfortable, but I think most fans would have probably expected to win against Woking. Then it was Ipswich, which was a behind the closed doors match. So there really wasn't too much details about this, but it was a 1-1 draw. You probably take that all day. It seems like a pretty positive result against a team that smashed the Championship, probably going to do all right in the Prem. You take that in the pre-season. Then QPR, which was the first one that I actually went to. The team looked so good. Mbenge was just ridiculous at the back. I don't know what it is about Mbenge, but for some reason, I just never feel that convinced by him at centre-back, especially if he's just playing in a back two. Not too much experience. Maybe it's not his preferred position, but he is just great. He's so fast. He literally does not care about anything or anyone. He was winning everything. Got the assist for Aziz's goal. Again, another great goal. Bodied the defender and then just slotted it past the QPR keeper. That was a fantastic game. Yeah, it really looked like the team had sort of gelled a lot more compared to that time last year, where half of them, the pre-season was pretty much non-existent.
Yeah.
They played really well. They played some really decent football. On to Cardiff. I didn't go to this one. It sounded like there was a lot of rotation. Goals probably avoidable, but that's what pre-season's all about. More minutes in the tank. Then I went to the Hull match, which again was fantastic. Picked up similar to where they left it with QPR. It was a pretty even first half, but then a fantastic goal from Ben Elliot about 10 minutes before the break. Played some really, really decent football. The second half was a bit quieter. But again, some really good, decent build-up play. And then that eventually led to Sam Smith nodding down for a second. And then the team saw the game out well, which is something they did not do throughout the season last season. I know it's only a pre-season match, but they didn't turn the pace off. It wasn't as exciting, but they didn't concede and they didn't give away the ball a lot, which was good to see.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Is like it is only pre-season. It certainly hasn't prevented me from getting quite exciting. And to be honest, to reiterate a couple of things that you said, you mentioned Aziz, Smith. They're already firing, which is great news, and something that we obviously didn't get last season because of just the carnage playing pre-season games. Just total chaos. And also Ben Elliot, he looks to have made a huge stamp on claiming a starting place, or making more starts for Reading this season. I think from what I've seen highlights wise, he's looked awesome. So quite a big season coming up for him, I hope. And yeah,
Agreed. Yeah, fully agreed. I think what I was going to say is Savage wasn't great. I thought against QPR, like I think I put out in one of my tweets that he was everywhere, but he wasn't really doing too much. Whereas Elliot was just, he's a lot stronger than I thought he was. He was bodying midfielders, and everyone knows that he's a lot more creative than Savage anyway. But he was just fantastic alongside Win, and obviously got his goal. So yeah, for me, I think he's probably going to partner Win in centre mid.
Yeah, me too. And to be honest, I'm quite happy with that. And nice to have a little rotation option as well in Savage. We don't need to talk about Lewis Wing, because if we're going to do this all season, we'll probably I will spend a large chunk of the season talking about Lewis Wing. Okay, then. Well, so before we move on, I know your tweets on this have been doing quite well. What was your biggest takeaway from this pre-season?
It's a good question. I think probably just like how well they're playing as a team. They're just playing really, really good football. They look fit. They're seeing games out. They're scoring good goals, and they just look. I mean, look, they've beat 3 championship teams this pre-season. If they keep on doing stuff like that, they're going to end up in a pretty good spot, you'd hope, come the end of the season.
Yeah. No, I agree. I was actually going to say the togetherness, and like even some of Sellers' post-match interviews, talking about how ready they are. And as we've already mentioned a couple of times, we just did not get that last season, which is, I mean, not the whole reason to blame was for a poor start last season. Obviously, there's quite a lot of reasons why we were not very good for a lot of the start of last season. But yeah, the squad seems ready, albeit obviously don't need to mention it to Reading fans. We've made no signings. The only team in the EFL to fail to make any signings yet, which, you know what, it's terrible, but it's the sign of the times for us, isn't it? And hopefully there'll be better times to come very soon. Right then, before we look to Birmingham, talk to me about where you see Reading finishing this season. Give me your top scorer and give me your top assister.
I mean, I think you mentioned it. It is very much takeover dependent. I think I saw Gab Sutton put out a tweet a couple of weeks ago that says something like, out of every team in the EFL right now, Reading's like range of where they could finish spans the largest. And I think he's pretty much spot on. Like I said, it's very much takeover dependent. But from what I can see, the new regime are like, they're very much in charge. There's already things that you can tell are not done by Dye. They're done by the new regime and the new owner. So you would expect this like takeover to be finished. You'd hope this week. It's been dragging on now, but it can't go on for much longer. And with that, I'd like to think Reading can push for playoffs. So I'm going to say 6th. There's plenty of promise with this squad. And if I was a player coming out of the pre-season that they just had, I'd probably be fancying a shot of making the playoffs.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And hopefully the takeover, I've seen a few rumours already, is going to be announced in style at the Purple Turtle on Thursday. But we'll see about that. And as you say, that obviously will have a large sway on things throughout the season, because like Reading don't have incredible depth across the board, because we've
That's
signed
the thing,
no one.
yeah. That's definitely going to be the main issue with the lack of signings. How long can these players keep consistently performing at before they pick up injuries or they start to drop off a bit?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, even without any signings, if this squad could stay fit, and is such a big ask with the amount of games they'll have to play this season, the squad is good enough to be in and amongst the playoffs. I don't want to get carried away, but maybe even challenge at the top. But as we've just said, such a big ask with the amount of games they'll have to play and with no rotation. But look, positivity going into this season throughout the team, throughout the two of us. So hopefully the takeover gets done, and we could pick up some depth. I mean, on that, I'm keen to get your thoughts, but like, I don't feel like Reading needs to massively improve, maybe in the fullbacks, but I don't know. We don't need to go out and spend loads of money, I don't think. Like, we just need a bit of decent depth, League One players. We don't need to go and make any marquee signings like our opponents on Saturday have. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And I think, again, coming off the back of pre-season, you saw how well like some of the academy players fitted into the team. Kanu, probably the standout out of them all. Even Jaden Wareham, I know he did get some appearances last season, but they both look like they could definitely pull their weight in League One, and they should definitely get their chances. So I don't think there will be any marquee signings, but that's probably a good thing for the club in the situation that they're currently in. But yeah, they do need to fill out some of the positions that are clearly not good enough. Mostly the left back position. The right back position's a weird one. I feel like they have got players that can cover it, so I probably wouldn't really be too fussed about that right now. But yeah, left back priority.
Yeah, agreed. Right then, who's going to be Reading's top scorer this season?
Said it last season, Sam Smith. He's a 20-goal a season striker. You'd want your striker to be your top goal scorer come the end of the season.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's that guy.
Yeah, I agree. I adore Sam Smith. I think he's just a goal scorer, isn't he? My only worries would be if he gets injured, but I mean, you're worried about that with every player. Hopefully, he doesn't get injured, as we've just discussed. Depth is not, it's not a massive list of people waiting to come in and score loads of goals. Last season, he obviously scored 15 goals. That's equals his best season on record. 15 goals. I think he did it in 2021-22 with Cambridge. But showing no signs of stopping last season and looked to go from strength to strength. So yeah, I don't really have any words for Sam Smith. I love him. I think he's the kind of striker you want in your team in League One. Like, he can bully, he can finish, he works really, really hard, which is a trait that we all love. And as Reading fans, over the years, we've not necessarily had that. Lucas João springs to mind, and that's not even a diss, but I think it's safe to say Smith works a lot harder than that. I also just love, which I may spoil the next question, but I also love his combination play with Harvey Nibs. Their friendship is so good, and it's great to see on the pitch, and clearly works. Both of them finding the net pretty freely last season, so long may that continue. So yeah, I may have just given it away, but who is your top assister?
You haven't given it away. It's Femi Aziz.
Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, Nibs is class as well. And yeah, like you said, it's great seeing them both play together, him and Smith. And I also really like the fact that Smith he's gone away, learned his trade, come back, and he's just smashing it. Loves the club, loves playing with the players. And yeah, he's just doing really well. But top assister, yeah, Femi Aziz. I'm sure you've probably got some crazy stats about it all. But, you know, creatively, I feel like Femi is really underrated and probably leads, I don't know what he leads, but he must lead, like, I don't know, big chances created or something. You're the man for that. But I just think his creativity is severely underrated. Was he top assister last season?
I can't. No, he wasn't top assist. I'm pretty sure Wing was. But the stat that I do have is that he was the third highest ranked winger in League One last season. Well, I say that by who scored, of course. I should really have had it up. I don't know how many assists he did get last season. I could probably find it quite quickly whilst I talk about mine. I've already mentioned him. I'm going Lewis Wing.
Of course.
He's just unreal. 8 assists. Oh, yeah, mate, you were right. I don't know why I'm telling you you're wrong. Femi had 9, and Wing had 8. So yeah,
9
well
assists.
done. Correct.
Yeah, pretty decent.
So 8 goals and 9 assists for Femi last season is a pretty similar returns for Lewis Wing. So 2 similar shouts with 10 goals and 8 assists. I mean, 10 goals is fantastic for a player that plays in that position. Well, I mean, it's fantastic anyway. And then 8 assists on top. He's just proven he can do it time and time again. His range on the ball is superb. I'm running out of superlatives for him, really, and I hope he has another big season for Reading, because He's so well loved by Royals fans. He's made his intent clear that he wants to stay and play for us, despite, I mean, I personally think he's too good for League One, but he obviously is invested in the project, loves Sellers, loves, being set up with his wife and everything in the local area. So, yeah, I'm going Lewis Wing, top assister. I think he could chase down that 8. That's his best season of all time. His previous best was 5, so I think he's going to smash 5, and hopefully he gets above 8. But yeah, Lewis Wing, top assister. Right then,
Decent. Yeah, I think just on Wing, like
go for it.
I saw a few people say this as well, that it seemed like he had a bit of a quiet pre-season, but it made me realise just how like important he is. Like he literally dictates the play. He picks the ball up from the centre halves. He's scoring. He's assisting. He's just doing everything. So I mean, he could just end up being top goal scorer, top assister. Everything. He could lead all the charts. But no, he's a fantastic player, and it's good that it sounds like he's staying around. It's all gone a bit quiet on the players that could potentially be leaving, which is good. But yeah, fingers crossed that we can keep hold of all of them.
Yeah, for sure. Right then, we spent a little bit longer on that than I had expected. So let's jump straight into Saturday then. Obviously, you and I are heading up to Birmingham early in the morning, hoping to try and film some content. So if anyone's around in Birmingham and fancies giving us some of their season predictions, or just coming to chat to us, and drop us a message or drop us a DM on Twitter, or X, should I say, and we can arrange that. Huge game. Well, obviously, this is the first game of the season, but coming up against the league favourites. I genuinely can't really remember a time where there's been a championship or League One team that has had so much hype around them. From what I've heard, Birmingham should walk this league at a canter. Obviously, they've spent quite a lot of money. They've brought in, well, they've spent well, really, I'd say. I mean, their budget is significantly bigger than ours. But if we were in that position, I wouldn't be complaining if we'd spent and bought the likes of Alfie May, etc. So I'm not going to start pointing fingers. But I spoke to my nan this week, actually. Jim, obviously you know my nan very well. I said, we're off to Birmingham this weekend. Like, they look to be a very good side. And she reminded me that Reading always play better against the good side. So I'm going into Saturday feeling pretty positive, I'll say. Not necessarily confident, but positive. What are you thinking for Saturday? You think Reading could nick a win?
I really don't know. It's probably the best time to play them. But yeah, they've had a fantastic pre-season as well. Again, they were beating teams that were much stronger than them. I think they only lost against, was it Aldershot or someone that they lost against? I think that was the only one that they lost. So yeah, like Reading, they've had a decent pre-season. They've obviously made some crazy signings for this league. I think they spent nearly 15 million, which is just crazy. Yeah. So yeah, you'd expect them to finish first come the end of the season. I'd love to get 3 points on Saturday, but I'm taking the point all day. But saying that, I cannot wait. It's going to be class. I cannot wait for it.
Yeah, I am. I tweeted earlier, like, I'm so excited for the season to start, and I don't even know if that's down to the pre-season or. I think one thing is that it's seeing the end of last season, getting that abysmal season out of the way. And I said it in one of my tweets, like, I love this squad. I love Sellers. The team really want to work hard for Reading, which, as I mentioned earlier on here, like, we're not really used to that, to be fair. Like, players putting in half-fast efforts, and I don't think we'll get any of that from this squad. So I'm buzzing for it to start, and I think we can get a result against Birmingham. Look, I'm not saying we're going to go there and win, because clearly they're a very good side. They've just come down from the Championship. They've got a lot of money. I believe it's sold out. So they're all going to be rocking. We'll definitely be rocking too. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to having a little sing-song. But I think I'm with you. I think we can get a draw. I went up to Birmingham on the first day. I think you were there, actually, and we couldn't quite get the win. I think Nick Blackman scored for Reading on that day. I think we lost 2-1. And it was a great day, despite the defeat. So hopefully we can have a good day and come back with a point and get the season off to a flyer. And yeah, I just want to keep this positivity up. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to come crashing down to earth. So even a small defeat, I won't be distraught, but it'd be nice not to get beat by a handful.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if they lose, I'm not really going to take it to heart too much. From what I've seen in pre-season, they're a good side, as in Reading are a good side. So that I'm pretty sure they'll be all right throughout the season. But yeah, getting a point or 3 points will be decent.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing to watch out for is both teams to score. In the last 6 games between these two sides, it's been a goal for each side. I think it's quite evenly split actually across the team that won. But both teams to score, I'll be pretty happy with that because we'll get to celebrate a Reading goal. But something to watch if you're a bettor, that could be worth chucking into Saturday bet slips. Both teams to score. Birmingham versus Reading. Right, I think that brings us to a close then, Jim. Thanks very much for joining me.
Yeah, nice one, mate.
Very good fun to
next
chat.
time.
Definitely. If you're watching and you fancy seeing more of the stuff, follow us on X, follow us on TikTok, subscribe on YouTube. You know what to do. Comments. We're new to this, so any feedback would be great to hear. Anything you think we should be doing more of, anything you think we should be doing less of. Yeah, let us know. And we'll hopefully catch